Alright guys, Hutchcraft back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. And some major news ahead of Minnesota's Major 2 with Gunless unable to attend for Los Angeles Guerrillas. Sparta's going to have to substitute him once again, leaving absolute rostermania chaos, especially in the challenger scene. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. Really up to the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that. This I thought was pretty good as well from Gersh. The slap was fun. Nothing is more iconic than this push from way back in the day. Eggs versus Nadeshot. Always a good time whenever this is brought up. But of course the Major's beginning here in just a couple of days time. Some very unfortunate news about Gunless we'll look at here in just a couple of seconds. LAG find themselves once again in a very challenging position. Hopefully everything works out for Gunless because his health right now of course is the #1 priority. But as Scum says, excited for the Major. It's going to be a great time. Obviously in a couple of days time on Thursday, that's when everything kicks off across the weekends. But of course there's going to be some crazy games. This to me is one of the more interesting round 1 games. New York versus FaZe. Like who knows what's going to happen here. And of course Simp this past weekend couldn't play against Optic because he was unwell and Pristine had to sub in for that series. I believe that Simp should be okay for this event, despite Gunless not being, so that should be okay that we get a full strength FaZe Clan team. You do have to consider, right, the possibility that, okay, if Simp hasn't been there for a couple of days in practice, like they're going to be maybe a somewhat of a step behind some of the other teams going into this event. So it does create a pretty interesting and entertaining dynamic as we get into day 1. Was also this from Clay to say, really with all this Gunless stuff going down, there was a question, is Clay actually going to be able to compete for one of these teams? What's going on there? Of course, not in the Pro League necessarily, but on the Challengers front, right, in the open brackets. And he was kind of rumouring right here, like at least hinting that maybe he's going to join a team. I don't believe that's the case. I believe he's just attending for fun, effectively. And someone else filled the spot that was kind of created when Spart left to get called up to LAG. We'll have a look at that in a second, because some absolute chaos goes through. But of course, a few days ago, Spart has to fill in for the starting roster up against Optic, right? As Spart as I thought this was a pretty funny tweet, to be honest. Didn't have the greatest time, and it doesn't necessarily paint LAG in the greatest position, given that they've only, well, really found out this last night. No time really to practice with Spart at all. They're going to get to the events, maybe have a few scrims on the Thursday or whatever on the Wednesday, and then get straight into their matchup on the Thursday. So far from an ideal situation, but this is what LAG come out with and say last night. So at the upcoming Major 2 tournaments, Spart will be subbing in for Gunless, who continues to recover from a pre-existing non-COVID related illness. It's important to treat player health with the utmost respect, and we want to give Pierce the space to treat his illness accordingly. We can't wait to see Pierce back on the 6 very soon. Wishing him a very speedy recovery. With that being said, excited to see Spart play on LAN. They play on Thursday versus Boston. So when we saw this, it was like, wow, okay, that's really disappointing for LAG, because of course Gunless so far this year has probably been their best player, all things considered. Slash has been turning up as of late. Hook's been okay, but somewhat lackluster, and Asim, of course, I guess has been their most impactful player, but at least on terms of a consistency basis, I reckon Gunless has maybe been their #1 across the matches they've played so far. So of course he's kind of been struggling through with these difficulties for the last several weeks. Asim says, very tragic situation right now. Hope Pierce recovers as soon as possible. Health over everything. He's going through a lot right now. He explains it here in more detail in just a couple of seconds. But of course, with Spart getting called up to the starting roster, that left Assault, Classic, and Exceed, a team for the Minnesota kind of open bracket stuff, with, well, still needing to find a fourth. I guess they confirmed this as last minute as they realistically could do to give, Gunless every opportunity to see if he was going to be okay to make it to the event, but he decided, look, it's just not going to be enough. Now, Such's response was quite interesting and did cause a little bit of controversy, to be honest, because, of course, like, he's been through a very tough time these last few years, from the online league as it started in 2020 on Optic Gaming Los Angeles, out there in California having a tough time with these online servers, through to last season on Los Angeles Thieves, getting benched from the roster unnecessarily in his opinion, and then everything that went down with Hook coming back into the team, and then, the missed test or whatever, like the misspelled of the name towards the end of the season, and what happened at Champs, all this type of stuff as well. He's certainly been going through it, and as he says, on top of the game, then the COVID league hit, can't catch a break, so sick of making the best of it year after year, hoping Big P gets better. He doesn't have COVID, but it's been a COVID league of online BS and problems, so that's more what I was getting at. Damn, this is getting old, he says. So yeah, definitely a kind of a contrast in replies between what Asim was saying and what Slash is saying, but something like, I guess it does make sense. It's tough to make the best out of it again and again and again. There's nothing you can do but make the best of it. You don't even know how many times I've heard or said that the last 3 years. Comes a time where it gets old. So interesting stuff. I'm sure he wishes Gunless the best. And Gunless goes on to explain exactly what is going on. So first of all, I'd like to apologize to my team, organization, and Spart Smart for putting them in an unfavorable situation, actually severely unfair to them, been breaking down crying the last 4 days about doing this to them. Now to tell you what's been happening. Not to go into so much detail, a lot to go into the past 6 months. He's been dealing with erosive duodenitis. I don't obviously know all that much about these conditions, right? Like, I guess it's something to do with the duodenum, but stomach ulcers, small intestines ulcers. I've been taking like 6 different medications to fix all these conditions. So obviously very unfortunate. And the issue has then been that yes, the medications might be working, but it turns out he's very sensitive to these type of medications. Been getting every side effect in the book, but it wasn't really bad until a week and a half ago, where I started throwing up constantly after scrims and matches. These last 4 days have been struggling to sleep, eat, and even just function without feeling nauseous, vomiting. Went into the doctor's office, lost 7 pounds, turned into Gas was the ghost brother. So good to see Gunners' sense of humour still there, but it's been a difficult time for him, I'm sure, the last few weeks. He reckons he might even undergo surgery to fix these issues. So hopefully everything works out for Gunners. But of course, I guess he was hoping that maybe he'd feel better just in time to get to the major. Turns out that's not the case. Had to kind of drop this on the team last minute, which puts the whole challenger scene into complete chaos as well. So definitely very disappointing. Gunners isn't going to be there. I was kind of optimistic for the future of this Los Angeles Guerrillas team, the way they've been looking as of late, on a bit of an upward trajectory. Lost to Optic, of course, with Spart, but outside of that, they were 3-1 this stage, looking pretty decent to come into the major and put up a good fight against Boston Breach. That might not be the case anymore, with Spart in the lineup with basically no time to practice with this team, but who knows, maybe they make something happen. This, of course, is the run that they will have. They play Breach round 1. If they lose that, they'll play the Toronto Ultra, which is also far from an easy series if they drop down to the lower bracket, so it could be a very difficult time. And to me, the more interesting thing about this really is what does this team necessarily do after this tournament? Let's say they come in here with Spart, they get top 12, they get double first rounded, as you would probably expect them to at the present time. What do they do in this potentially very interesting roster change period to come? Because if they'd have come into this tournament and not performed with their full roster with Gunners in there anyway, if he was at full health and firing on all cylinders, then you would have thought, okay, maybe it's time to make some sort of swap. But of course, with not doing that, that now leaves them potentially out of the running in, because, I would imagine that Thieves come through here, maybe a Seattle Surge, Minnesota Rocker, whoever, Toronto Ultra even. There could be a fair few teams involved in a Rostermania shuffle after Major 2. Los Angeles Guerrillas could have been a team involved in that, but of course, if they don't have their full roster, they don't know really whether they need a change or not. They're probably going to say, well, we're probably okay. Even if this team as it is right now only has the potential to get top 6 or whatever, and they could potentially make an upgrade to get even better than that or make some sort of move, they're not going to have the information to make that change, whereas the other teams will have that information as a result of this event. So definitely puts themselves in a very difficult position. Hopefully Gunners gets better though. That's the number 1 priority here, of course. But we're not going to be able to see Los Angeles Guerrillas at full strength, and hopefully we get to see at least all the other teams at full strength, right? Because there was some talk about FaZe as well, and Sim. We'll have a little bit more discussion on that here in a second. But as Venom says, nah, joining another team at mid P3 rotation is crazy to me. So what went on then effectively is Spart left to go and join the starting lineup. Therefore, Assault & Co needed another one to replace him, and therefore that then created further ripples down into the scene where other players had to come in and replace other people. So of course, this was basically right before the roster lock, and this guy, I guess, got a call up from his roster mid-scrim, and was like, okay, I'm dipping, lads, I'm joining another team. So honestly, remarkable stuff. Crone explained it. Spart gets called up to Guerrillas, then Welly left Bearclaw mid-scrim to replace Spart on Assault Exceed and Classics. That's of course the team, so Bearclaw came second at the Elite. Then Hamza leaves Fire, Rambi and Gunzy for Bearclaw, and the roster lock is in 45 minutes. So absolute chaos erupts as a result of this. There was some talk about, okay, could these Bearclaw guys that came second at the Elite potentially get Clayster, but they get Hamza instead, it seems. And it seems like Silly actually joined the team of Fire, Rambi and Gunzy. So absolute mess, to be honest, in Challengers. I guess if LG had announced this a bit earlier, they'd have had more time to deal with it, but everything goes down pretty much last minute, as it tends to be the case in the Call of Duty scene. This just some further reaction from Slasher and Clayster as well. Might have to rob the Minnesota Casino in between matches this weekend. Definitely not having the easiest time of things. And as he says, there's going to be a blackjack tape with my name edged into it before the weekend is done. So yeah, Clay is attending. I don't believe he's playing though, just there for a good time. But yeah, you would imagine Slasher's going to be out of the event sooner rather than later. Yes, they're starting winners, but by Friday they could be out if they get double rounded. Going to be a tough situation. Hopefully Gunners gets better, but yeah, not good for all involved, of course. The other side of things is the fact that Simp, he also had to step out of their series they played a couple of days ago against Optic, because he was apparently throwing up all over his setup, he was having a really hard time. That at least is what Crowder was explaining on stream. To my knowledge, Crowder on stream last night effectively said that Simp is now way better. I guess his girlfriend's done his best to get him back in business as well, so I think he should be okay to get out there to Minnesota. But that is the thing, that the potential implication of this might be that they haven't had the greatest couple of days of practice the last few days, and what does that mean for the major? Yes, there's a few days they can warm up and stuff, but on day 1 they play a New York team that's looking very hot right now. So if Simp isn't quite fully in the game, or their practice has been been slacking to some degree. Who knows what happens in that New York series, right? It definitely throws another spanner in the works of a series that, in theory, should be easy to predict, but that might not be so. Gotta mention this as well before we close out the video from Douglas sent to Martin. He signed some sort of contract. Whenever he does this, I swear it's just some sort of like energy drink sponsorship. I don't know. Like, I feel like all his kind of contract signing things have been very underwhelming so far, but who knows? Maybe it's something legitimate. Maybe Los Angeles Thieves have hit him up and said, look, you know, Jacobs here as the coach. Talk about that a little bit more later today. But, you know, Doug, we want to bring you in for whatever reason. Maybe they've just, maybe you straight up joined the starting team, right? To get, you know, Drazers out of there. Doug sent to Martin's in the team. That's the change that's going to take him to the next level. So I don't really know what this is about, to be honest. But as I say, it's probably some sort of sponsorship, partnership type thing, like it usually is. But who knows? Maybe it's team related. It's unlikely, but it's always possible. Let me know your thoughts on this one in the comment section below. Of course, yes, with Minnesota coming up in just a couple of days, there is the Mindfreak team back in business. It's been a long time coming, really, since Mindfreak as an organization dominated the kind of APAC region for so long. Zephyr, Nimble, Septi, and Crimson, they're heading out there. So there's some good teams from all the regions. Latin America, Europe, of course, Australia as well. And then the top 4 teams at the Minnesota Open event, they get to go to the Prime Classic in May. And that's the thing, like, there's been a lot of talk, okay, how many majors actually is there this season? There's 4 majors plus champs. There's obviously been the Kickoff Classic, the Toronto one, but there's also the Prime Classic, which to me is definitely going to count as another major tournament, because it's basically right at the start of May, before the 3rd stage of qualifiers kick off once again, and the top 4 teams from this Open event, plus the 12 best pro teams, go to that event. There's going to be one winner, and you know, it could be an amateur team if somehow they're absolutely disgusting. And to finish out with this, I thought it was great from the TAC Web Academy. Pretty much a year ago was when all this Challengers drama was kicking off once again. I'm pretty sure I made a video about this at the time, when a Parasite got dropped from his team like just a few minutes before roster log got sketched, as he says. Then he picks up a new team, where he joins a new team and actually out-qualifies his team and gets to the elite. The team that dropped him fell to do that. But very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit the like button. Tell us the YouTube gods it's a good video. Others like you should see it as well. And I've grown the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you as always. Take care. And I will see you next time.
No, bro.
Do the wiggles. You gotta do the wiggles.
Who's the best? No, the wiggles.
You gotta do the wiggles.
Nah, it feels so comfortable. Right now.
Travis, who's the best?
I'm the best.
You getting outgunned?
No, hell no.
Yeah. Paul,
Hell nah.
you gonna lose a gunfight?
Who, me?
You.
No.
No?
Of
Say
course
it. Say it.
I'm not losing a gunfight.
Say it. Say it.
Dude, stop, bro. I'm not.
Yeah, I'm not losing a gunfight. I'm not losing a gunfight.
Positive self.
Watching.
What's up?
Positive self.
Wait.
We're losing a single.
Wait,
No,
I
losing a
forgot.
single.
I forgot.
Single one.
You locked in?
Lock in.
Yeah, I'm good.
If you need to go jerk off in the bathroom, go do it.
Nah, I'm good.
Dude, whoa. Bobble, no hesitation, eh?
He was like, if you need help.
Hey guys, my name is Paco.